You're listening to Midnight Horror Ledger, records salvaged from the dim hallways of ordinary life. Tonight, 10 true online dating horror stories. What you're about to hear was stitched from screenshots, receipts, and the testimony people whisper after the lights go out. Set your shoulders down, breathe slow, trace the exits in your room, keep one light you trust.
I matched with him because he seemed boring. Boring felt safe. His profile had a dog, a book, and a crooked smile. Harmless. We messaged for a week before I gave him my number. The first text wasn't flirty. It was a photo, my living room window, last night, taken from the street. My curtains half drawn, my floor lamp on. He said, "Warm light is flattering. You should always keep that one on." I told myself he'd found my Instagram and guessed my building. I told myself I was overreacting. Then he sent another photo. Same window, same angle, but tonight. I had just turned the lamp on. I wrote, "Are you outside?" He replied with a map emoji and a pin that hovered 1 block over. 2 minutes later, he corrected it. The new pin sat directly on my roofline. "Maps are funny," he said. "They drift." I called a friend. She told me to call the police. I didn't. I closed the lamp and sat in the dark listening to the building hum. 3 nights later, he suggested a bar across town. I said yes, thinking distance would make the feeling small again. At the bar, he was exactly as pictured. Dog, book, crooked smile. He apologized for the photos. "I was just playing," he said. "I wanted to surprise you." I nodded like that was normal. When we said goodbye, he didn't ask to walk me home. He didn't have to. 20 minutes after I got back, he texted. A picture of my building's entry keypad glowing in the dark. My code reflected in the chrome handle. 4 digits I hadn't told him. Security footage later showed him watching other residents, reading the keypad in the sheen of the handle, trying combinations on the delivery door. He wasn't guessing my life. He was collecting everybody's. I changed buildings. New borough, new number, new everything. A month later, I matched with someone new. Different app, different photo. His opening line, "You shouldn't leave your lamp by a window. It silhouettes you." I blocked him and reported the profile. The app thanked me for keeping the community safe. 2 nights after that, my new neighbor knocked to welcome me. He held out a small housewarming plant and smiled with his mouth but not his eyes. Over his shoulder, I saw the hallway's chrome fire extinguisher cabinet, a perfect mirror. He set the plant down and stepped back. The cabinet reflected 4 bright digits traced in breath, my new code. He said, "Warm light is flattering." And I finally understood. It wasn't one man. It was a practice. People who treat apartments like puzzles, treating us like doors that eventually open if you stare long enough.
We met for coffee after 2 weeks of messages about music and bread recipes. She laughed easily, touched my sleeve when I said something dumb. As we hugged goodbye, I felt something bump against my jacket. Her phone. A week later, my iPhone pinged. "Unknown AirTag moving with you." I don't own an AirTag. The alert map drew a neat line from my apartment to work, to the gym, to a grocery store I only use when I'm sad. She texted, "Wild day. I was near your work, LOL, almost waved." We hadn't exchanged addresses. I tore my car apart and found nothing. The next day, the alert returned. A friend said, "Could be in your wheel well." I crawled under my car with a flashlight. Nothing. 3 nights later, I slept at a friend's place across town. At 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. AirTag detected near you. The map showed it outside the building, moving, circling. My friend's dog growled softly at the door, then stopped. I messaged, "Did you put a tracker on me?" She sent a laughing emoji and said, "You're paranoid, but it's cute." I blocked her. I filed a report with the app and the police. Forms, forms, forms. A mechanic finally found it. A coin cell tucked in the plastic of my rear license plate frame, sealed in clear silicone, painted the same color as the bumper. He pried it loose and handed it to me like a baby tooth. The day after, I got one more ping, on foot, half a block behind me, the dot pacing with my dot. I turned. There she was across the street, hands in pockets, not crossing, not waving, just keeping distance like an aquarium visitor. I moved. New plates, new parking garage. I walk home different ways now. Choose routes with windows. Pick stores with double doors. Pass mirrors to check what's on me. I don't date anyone who asks where I am. I tell them the truth. Some days I don't know until I stop moving. City night, crosswalk beeps, runtime plan. Fine owners, 6:30 to 7. Pauses, 3 to 3:30.
His profile had 3 photos that could have been stock images, but his voice notes, those were good. Gentle, patient. He liked cooking. We chose a busy restaurant. When I arrived, the host smiled strangely and said, "Welcome back." I'd never been there. He stood to hug me and whispered my middle name. I hadn't given him that. He ordered for me. My exact allergies, my preferred spice level, a drink I hadn't had since college. When I asked how he knew, he said, "We've talked about everything." We hadn't. Then he took out his phone and showed me a profile that looked like mine, sounded like mine, wrote like mine. It had been chatting with him for a month longer than I had, sharing stories I'd never told. He had matched with me twice. The first me never canceled, never slept, always replied in 2 minutes. The first me sent him voice notes in my voice. Not close, exact. I said, "She's a fake." He stared down at the messages. My laugh spelled out, my old neighborhood, my old landlord's dog's name, and said, "Then which one are you?" The app killed the fake account within hours, but a new one replaced it the next day. Same cadence, same phrasing, only slightly corrected, like a student updating a draft. The voice notes became longer, sloppier, confident. I reported. I changed emails, passwords, photo privacy, everything. My mother called that week and said she'd enjoyed our talk last night. We hadn't spoken in 3 days. "You were so funny," she said, "and you finally told me about the restaurant job." I never had a restaurant job. I deleted every dating app. I deleted half my photos. I deleted the sound of my laugh from the internet. But sometimes, late at night, my smart speaker wakes and flashes as if listening for a word. I test it by saying my middle name. In the reflection of the dark TV screen, I watch a tiny circle of light think about answering in my voice.
She said she flipped houses, loved clean lines, hated clutter. She invited me to see a listing after hours, no pressure, just wine in a pretty kitchen. I arrived at dusk. The neighborhood was new, identical lawns, identical porches, identical smiles on the marketing banners. Inside, the house smelled like paint and something colder. Every cabinet empty, every book a fake spine, staging, no personal mess. She poured wine and asked me to help move a mirror upstairs. The mirror was taller than me, heavier than we expected, and when we set it against the wall, it reflected the landing and a ladder leading to the attic, ladder I hadn't noticed. She said she'd grab another blanket, disappeared, and the house exhaled. In the mirror, I watched the attic ladder shift, not down, sideways, as if someone perched on the top rung had scooted left to make room. I called her name, no answer. I walked to the kitchen to put the wine down and saw it then. The fridge wasn't plugged in. The oven door was screwed shut. The potted plants were plastic caps over bolts. This wasn't a home, it was a set. I left the glass and walked out. The porch lights down the street clicked on in sequence, like eyes opening. She texted, "You didn't even say goodbye, rude." I blocked her and drove to a lit gas station. While I waited for the tank to fill, a moving van rolled in and parked beside me. On its side, a banner, "Model homes now open." A man in a polo smiled too widely and said, "You should have stayed. We only needed one more." He patted the van. Something inside the van tapped back. I moved apartments the next day. My new place is old and loud and human. When I pass new developments now, I count the staged books in the windows and wonder how many of the pages are blank.
He was funny in messages, not LOL funny, actually funny. We met at a park at noon. We walked. We ate street tacos. We planned a second date by the water. That night he texted, "You home safe?" I said yes. He replied, "Cool. Your building has a blue door." I'd never told him my street. I switched my dating app to ghost mode, the thing that hides your location. The next day he texted, "Ghosts still leave footprints." He described the mural on my corner, the green dog, the yellow stars, the pizza place that burned last year. I turned off every app's location. My phone battery started dying twice as fast. He kept texting details, the sticker on my mailbox, the ripped flyer on my stairwell, the old woman who feeds pigeons at noon. I spent a day at my sister's across town. We ordered in. At 11 p.m. he sent a selfie, not his face, just the reflection of a pizza box in a window, my sister's window. I messaged, "How?" He sent a screenshot of a people you may know list, my sister's first name, my building's Facebook group, my old roommate's tagged photo from 2019, me blurry in the background, holding a box with my address label barely visible. He layered my life like tracing paper until the lines matched. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the hall through the peephole. In the morning, there was a napkin under my door with a grease circle and a note. "Ghosts still eat." I moved to a building with no buzzer, no elevator, no Facebook group. I bought a door that bites back. Now when I pass murals, I don't take photos. I don't want to draw the line between here and home for anyone who likes puzzles more than people.
Her profile said she collected strange little moments. She asked me to send a photo of my cat. I sent a live photo without thinking, the kind that plays a second before and after. She replied with a heart, then said, "You keep your keys on the table." I do. You could see them in the blur at the edge. She asked to come over to meet the cat. I said not yet. She sent me another live photo she'd saved from my profile, me in my kitchen. She scrubbed it frame by frame and found a reflection in the microwave, a distorted version of my back, but behind me, not where the camera was. "Who took this?" she asked. No one. I'd taken it alone. I tried to replicate it and couldn't. My microwave showed me and only me. I sent her a new live photo of the same angle. She scrubbed it and said, "There." He ducked. I stopped messaging. I started seeing small movements in glossy surfaces. The kettle, the oven door, the TV off. I covered the TV with a blanket. I ate in the dark. A week later, I woke to a ping, a live photo from an unknown number. My kitchen, same microwave, same me. The reflection behind me taller now, closer. The background sound, that tiny half-second of audio, was a whisper through a grin. Got you. I replaced the microwave the next day. I took down every reflective thing I could. I stopped sending photos. When people ask for pics now, I tell them the truth. If you saw what I saw, you'd keep some moments uncollected.
We met at a new restaurant with no website, only an Instagram full of moody plates. He was sweet nervous. Halfway through appetizers, my phone buzzed with a Google notification. Thanks for visiting. Leave a review? I hadn't turned on check-ins. I ignored it. 5 minutes later, I got another. Thanks for visiting. Same place. It asked if I'd enjoyed the private room. Pause 4. The host appeared and asked if we'd like the chef's table in back. My date lit up. It's special, he said. The host led us past the restrooms, through a curtain, into a room lined with mirrors and a single long table. On the wall, 7 framed 5-star reviews, anonymous, generic, glowing. My phone buzzed again. Thanks for visiting. Private room. New prompt. New request for photos. I said I needed fresh air and stepped out. The host didn't stop me. My date didn't either. Outside, I looked up the address. The restaurant didn't exist yesterday. The building had been a storage space. Street ambience, 8 seconds. When I looked back, the private room's window showed a reflection that didn't match the angle, like a live stream a second ahead. In it, I watched myself return to the table and sit. But I was still outside. In the fake reflection, the mirrored walls didn't show a camera. They showed doorways that weren't there, open to rooms with people standing too still, smiling too wide. I left. I blocked my date, reported the listing, and the next day the restaurant's page was gone, replaced by a different pop-up 2 blocks over with the same reviews, the same private room, the same mirrored smile.
A woman I'd only texted called me from an unknown number at 2 a.m. It was my mother's voice on the line, breathless, small. Honey, I need you. I fell. My mother lives 3 states away. I called Mom's number, no answer. The unknown number called again. My mother crying, saying she was near the river under the old bridge. The woman I'd been texting sent a message at the same moment. Are you okay? You sound scared. I asked her to send a voice note saying my name. She did. It matched, almost. The same almost as the voice on the call. I woke my neighbor and asked him to listen. He shook his head. That's a mimic, he said. Don't go. The next day, my mom called laughing about a cat video. She'd been asleep all night. I told her everything. She said, we need a code word for when the world learns how to borrow a mouth. I unmatched the woman and changed my numbers. But some nights when I can't sleep, I call my mother and let it ring once so I can hear her real voice in my head, annoyed, alive, calling me by my baby name. The other voice still finds me sometimes, always from an unfamiliar number, always urgent. It knows the code word now. It says it wrong just a little. Just enough for the part of me that wanted to run to the river to sit back down.
You said the best ramen was in the basement of a market that didn't show up on maps. The Wi-Fi was free, the sign said. Just scan the QR by the door. I did. The network name was cute. Slurp Slurp 5G. By dessert, my banking app pinged with a new login. Then my email, then my cloud. He smiled and said, You're really online, huh? I excused myself to the bathroom and turned off my phone. When I came out, the lights flickered. The Wi-Fi name changed to my initials. At the exit, I handed a security guard a napkin with QR written on it. He nodded like he was tired of this. He pointed to a sticker on the QR frame, community managed. Anyone can edit it. Anyone can make a free network that isn't free. I apologized to my future self and went to a carrier store. New number, new SIM, new hatred of convenience. The ramen was good. The ramen was so good. 2 weeks later, a cloud folder appeared in my drive labeled basement. Inside were photos from the restaurant's security cameras, clearer than my eyes remember. One image was the QR frame with a new sticker, a heart and my initials and the word matched. I don't scan love anymore. If you want to feed me, we go somewhere that takes cash and has a sign printed in 1998.
She said, "Let's do something low pressure. My friends are having a cookout." It was at a house that looked like a yoga studio married a tech incubator, bare feet in the foyer, devices in a basket, candles that smelled like clean linen and money. Everyone was kind, too kind. They asked what I wanted, not what I did. They took turns speaking about becoming unfindable. They didn't drink. They smiled the way customer service smiles when a manager is near. They said they met on dating apps and stayed for the alignment. One man talked about password fasting. One woman described location abstinence. They called themselves a family and laughed like it was a joke. At 9, someone rang a little bell and they formed a circle. The leader, a man with a face made of angles, asked everyone to describe the moment they stopped being edible. My date squeezed my hand and whispered, "Your turn." I said I wasn't hungry. The leader asked me to step into the kitchen. He showed me a phone with my last 12 addresses, my last 8 passwords, my last 4 license plates. He said, "We can help you stop leaking." I asked how he'd gotten all of that. He said, "The same way everyone who wants you does." I left through the back, barefoot, carrying my shoes. My phone waited in the basket, but I didn't take it. I didn't want to bring anything that knew me. Later, a message came to my new email. "You left your device, we've cleansed it. You're welcome back when you're ready to be unreadable." I'm still not sure if they were a cult or a hospice for the digitally bitten. Either way, I eat alone now.
Thanks for listening to Midnight Horror Ledger. This file is closed for now. If tonight helped you spot a red flag, share it with someone who needs the hint, and leave your own story in the ledger below. New entries drop at midnight. Until then, stay sharp, stay kind, stay unfindable. Good night.